Can I still save my marriage if my husband is no longer physically or sexually attracted to me? This is a widespread concern. Sometimes the wives who contact me about this simply suspect that their husband is no longer interested in them. They notice that he isn't making as much contact or wanting to have sex as he used to. Or he no longer compliments them on their appearance, if at all. He appears almost embarrassed to be seen with them at times. Other times, the husband has stated unequivocally that he is no longer attracted to her. Hearing these words can be worse than guessing or wondering. I recently received word from a wife who was in a similar situation. She'd been wondering what was wrong with her husband because he never seemed to want to be intimate with her. After she brought it up again and again, the husband finally admitted that he was no longer attracted to her. In part, she stated, he didn't say it in a derogatory tone. In fact, I could tell he didn't want to say anything, but he felt compelled to be honest with me and provide answers. He stated that he didn't want to hurt me, but that he was no longer physically and sexually attracted to me. He said he still loved me as his wife and mother of his children, but he no longer gets a charge out of or is aroused by my body, which has changed a lot since we first married. I've had 3 children in a very short period of time, and I've gained some weight. Also, with 3 small children underfoot, I don't put as much emphasis on my appearance. As a result, I can't deny that I'm changing. But he is changing as well. I'm still attracted to and love him despite the fact that he's gained weight and lost some hair. Why isn't he able to do the same? Is my marriage doomed as a result of this? Can I save my marriage despite the fact that he is no longer physically attracted to me? I believe our love and marriage go much deeper than this, but I know that men don't always feel the same way. I'm sure this was a horrifying experience for this wife. Nobody wants to hear their spouse say that he or she is no longer attracted to them. But, in the grand scheme of things, I have to tell you that this isn't the most serious or devastating marital problem you can have. In my experience, there are far more difficult issues to overcome, such as infidelity, opposing viewpoints and lifestyles, or total incompatibility. None of these were the issue in this case. On the inside, the husband was certain that he still loved his wife. He simply wasn't as taken with her outward appearance, at least not right now. I don't mean to minimize the importance of this issue. It was extremely painful for the wife, and it needed to be addressed right away. But I didn't think it was an insurmountable problem that had to lead to divorce. Before you make any drastic changes to your appearance, keep in mind that sometimes attractiveness has less to do with your physical appearance and more to do with an emotional connection and the effort you put into your marriage. Many wives in this situation are tempted to make drastic changes to their appearance in the hope that this will automatically solve the problem. That is frequently just a band-aid solution. Because many happily married men have wives whose appearance changes over time, but those husbands remain very attracted to their wives. Of course, the loyalty and personality of the people involved will always play a role, but attraction often has as much to do with the health of the relationship and the confidence and security exhibited by those in it as it does with how you actually look. In other words, if spouses are firmly bonded and enjoying their relationship, they are much more likely to perceive their spouse favorably, and this includes physical attraction. The wife admitted that she didn't have much time for herself, let alone her husband. I suspected that if they both gave themselves permission to prioritize their marriage as well as their own self-care, they would notice some differences in how they felt about themselves and each other. Because here's something that people in this situation frequently overlook. It's not like this husband isn't attracted to his wife. It's not as if she hadn't found the physical characteristics that he had found appealing all along. It's just that, as a result of the stress of juggling their growing and busy family, his perceptions had likely changed. Of course, the wife admitted that her appearance had changed, but I doubted that it had changed so drastically that nothing remained. And I believed that focusing on the relationship rather than her appearance would produce the best results. If you're going to change your appearance, make it based on what makes you feel confident and happy. You shouldn't change who you are or what you like just to please someone else. Confidence and personality, in my opinion and experience, play a huge role in attraction. Women who are confident, enthusiastic, and outgoing are perceived to be far more attractive than those who are unsure, guarded, and withdrawn. We've all met women who aren't particularly attractive to us but have legions of admirers because of their personality and confidence. Of course, the wife wanted to diet and change her outward appearance right away, but doing so without giving it much thought was unlikely to boost her confidence. That is why it is critical to ask yourself what is most important and appealing to you. The wife had been concerned about her weight long before her husband brought it up, so it was probably appropriate for her to address it if it made her feel better about herself and prioritized her own health. I thought it would be a good idea to reach out to her husband and make weight loss a joint effort. After all, he could benefit from losing a few pounds, and working out together could be a good way for them to reconnect. I suspected that things would improve once the husband saw the wife's efforts and spent more time with her. And, truth be told, the more you have good sex with your spouse, the more sexually appealing they become to you. In terms of hair, makeup, and clothing, I believe that it's critical to look your best so that you feel confident in what you're putting out there. But I would never encourage you to look or dress in a way that makes you uncomfortable or that you did not choose. The key to success is self-assurance. Make changes that will make you feel more confident and happier. Remember that people who connect on a regular basis are more likely to feel attracted to one another as a result. What you put into something usually predicts what you'll get out of it. This is also very appealing if you are giving and receiving affection with enthusiasm, truly listening to your spouse, and enthusiastically participating in give and take. So, to answer the question, I believe it is entirely possible to save your marriage even if your husband claims he is not attracted to you. Because the term attraction encompasses so many different concepts. And, to be honest, once the relationship improves and your husband sees your enthusiastic effort, the attraction is likely to return. How to approach women without being afraid. The biggest issue that a new pickup artist faces is the anxiety that comes with approaching a woman he likes. There are numerous explanations for this, ranging from tribal history implanted in our genes to societal programming on what is right and wrong for us to do. Simply put, we desire social acceptance more than anything else that does not keep us physically alive. We want our family to be proud of us, for our friends and acquaintances to respect and include us, and for the rest of the world to want us. What is the inverse of acceptance? Rejection. That is what we are afraid of. I'm going to give you some powerful techniques to break this fear's grip on your life, but first, I'd like to go over the root of the problem with you in depth. We're going to refer to a girl or group's lack of interest as rejection or getting rejected. After all, you weren't turned down. Your strategy worked. The reaction would have been different if you had approached the situation differently. We'll refer to it as getting blown out or a blowout. This is due to the fact that, while the set did not know enough about you to reject you personally, they did express a desire to end the interaction. It is critical that you use the right words. The first set of the night is always murder, a good friend of mine says. Now, if you're equating talking to a girl with someone ending your life, you'll be more than hesitant to make that first approach. Anthony Robbins has created an entire system for using your word choice to improve your life. I won't go into detail, but in general, try to limit your use of negative words, especially if you're describing something important to you. If you say, going to the gym is a royal pain in the ass, you're unlikely to go very often. If you say, getting to the gym consistently is a challenge, you're much more likely to rise to the occasion. To summarize, I never want to hear you say, I was rejected. While word choice is important, there is a larger issue that will determine the outcome of the set. In other words, you're giving two girls 30 seconds to assess your worth as a person and judge you accordingly. That's a lot of authority to bestow on someone you've never met before. There are only 3 reasons why an approach might not work for me. 1. At this point, my game was insufficient to handle this particular situation. 2. My game was adequate, but I erred in this particular situation. 3. Despite running a good set, there were extenuating circumstances that prevented success. That's all. There are no reasons why it could go wrong. Throughout my years in the game, I've met a lot of people who make a living by teaching men how to pick up women. These men pick up attractive women in front of their students, sometimes on videotape. Some of these guys would blow your mind if you saw them because they are not attractive by any standard. They have enormous guts, are frequently balding, can be pasty white, and can be quite short and frail. It's difficult to believe until you've experienced it, but you don't have to be attractive to attract women. The point I'm attempting to make is this. Your outfit is not what gets you blown out. It's your game that's the issue, not your looks or your worth. It is entirely dependent on your social skills. When Tyler Durden makes a bad approach, which happens even to masters, he says it affects him emotionally the same as if he was shooting hoops and had his hand crooked on the basketball and missed. So you basically have 3 options to consider. You could have been socially miscalibrated and messed up a set you could have aced. As a result, you learned from your mistake. It could also have been a set that was too difficult for you to win at this point in your learning curve. You still get major props for going for it, and you are undoubtedly better because you did. People who excel at pickup constantly approach sets that are outside of their comfort zones, where instant success is unlikely. A go-go dancer could be swinging around a pole. It could be a beautiful girl surrounded by 7 men. It could be a celebrity. You'll be able to own that set when you're further along in your learning curve. It's just practice until then. Hubi, a great Pua, once said, "Every failure is a brick in my palace. Every approach is a brick in my palace, I'd change it too. The latter is more accurate, because each pickup attempt adds to your cumulative experience. Of course, there are times when the setup is precarious at best and it is nearly impossible to win the set. If a group of girls are having a girls' night out for a friend whose husband has just cheated on her, they will give her their undivided attention and push the guys to the side for the night. There's no way of knowing, so just be open to the possibility. This is not to say that you should blame yourself every time a set fails to go well. It's not always possible to say she must have been married. You are still personally liable. Allow yourself to entertain the possibility that it was an impossible set in the back of your mind. Now, here are some specific techniques for completing approaches on a consistent basis each night. Make it a requirement that you approach a minimum of 6 sets for the evening. That you literally can't leave until you've completed. Set a goal of getting blown out 6 times. Yes, there are no numbers, no lays, just get blown out. That way, if you get blown out, you'll be one step closer to your goal. Give him $100 if you have a wing. Make him give you $10 for each approach you make. He keeps the leftover cash at the end of the night. Make it a point to say outrageous things in approaches that you know will not work. Every third or so approach, I'll try a fun approach that I don't expect to work, such as approaching a group of girls and asking, "Are you ready for the big time?" A good exercise suggested by Ross Jeffries is to go to a shopping mall or a busy downtown street and approach a girl and say, "Please excuse the interruption. Manny Martian is my name. What is your favorite bowling ball flavor?" That isn't a pickup attempt because you weren't attempting to seduce her. Do that about 20 times, and it should become easier. That one might be better done in a major city an hour or so away from where you live. Beyond what a typical approach is, you must go beyond what a typical approach is before you feel comfortable with a typical approach. When you say something ridiculous and realize you're still alive and breathing, you can laugh it off, and it's a lot easier to ask a couple of women what they think about something. For newbies only, when approaching, make eye contact with the girls before starting a conversation. As in, tap a shoulder. This activates the point of no return signal, letting you know you're already involved in the interaction. When you see a set, go 3, 2, 1, tap, and they'll look at you, forcing you to speak. After a few weeks, however, phase it out because it is not a solid game for a proper pickup. Practice seeing women as they are, rather than as the demigods we make them out to be in the field. When you see a woman wearing sexy bitch boots, sparkling eyeshadow, and shimmering lipstick, all you can think about is how wonderful it would be to kiss her. Now, look at her and mentally remove the lipstick and the rest of her makeup, imagining how she will look on laundry day. You don't have to picture her as ugly, just a little plainer. That should bring things down a notch. Finally, be social with women of all shapes and sizes. The more you talk to women outside of a pickup session, the easier it will be to strike up a conversation with any girl at a bar. Talk to fat, elderly, and unattractive women, too. You may experience some jitters during your first set of the night, and I know professionals who have felt this way after 10 years of picking up the most beautiful women. Regardless of how bad they feel at first, they just keep going. And that is what a true man does, acts in the face of fear and discomfort. How to make yourself an attractive man. What is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the words a handsome man? Like most guys, you probably envision a tall, ripped, and attractive man. Because, if a man possesses these characteristics, he will be able to attract any woman he desires, right? But what if you're not particularly attractive? What if you're short, fat, and unattractive instead? In that case, you'd better have some money. Because women are only concerned with 2 things, appearance and money. Right? In reality, there are a variety of characteristics that make an average guy truly attractive in the eyes of a woman. The purpose of this article is to highlight some and provide advice on how to improve them. Continue reading if you want to learn how to become an attractive male. Looks. Let's get this one out of the way first, since we've already discussed physical appearance. Guys are overly concerned with their appearance. Yes, being attractive will give you an advantage, but it isn't as significant as you think. The thing about men is that we place a higher value on attractive women and therefore assume she will do the same for us. But, most of the time, it isn't the reason she finds us attractive. Being attractive is definitely a plus, but even if you aren't genetically as blessed as the next man, you can still become attractive in a girl's eyes. The only reason many ugly men never have a chance with beautiful women is because they are too focused on their own appearance. If you use your appearance as an excuse for not being able to attract the women you want, you can bet it will hold you back. Not because you are ugly, but because you believe that your physical appearance is all that matters. That is not the case. An average guy with more positive qualities that women respond to will always be more attractive to women than a good-looking guy with none. So, what exactly am I attempting to say here? Shouldn't you be unconcerned about your appearance? No. You should always make an effort to look your best. Make an effort to look your best. Get a haircut that flatters your face. Dress in clothes that enhance your appearance. And if you're overweight, go to the gym. You have no reason to look like you just crawled out from under a rock. Keep in mind that no one likes a slob. Attitude. So, if you're not attractive, do you just roll over and give up? Do you simply accept your fate and make the best of it? Or do you say no? And figure out how to get around it? If your demeanor does not reflect that of a man who chooses the second option, then give up. Save yourself the trouble and continue whining about how unfair life is. If you want to be attractive, you must cultivate a no retreat, no surrender attitude. Your demeanor should be that of a man who doesn't let anything bother him. Even getting rejected by women should not bother you. This is where most men fall short. They become overly focused on the feedback they receive and interpret it as an attack on their personality. However, if you can push through the rejections you'll face from women, and from life in general, and still keep going, you'll have the attitude that matters. Authenticity. If you've already nailed the attitude part, being authentic should be next on your list. This means that your thoughts and actions must be in sync. Everything you do and say should be sincere. When you say something, make sure you mean it. Being authentic is appealing because you are not limiting yourself for the sake of others. This indicates that you are a man of high status, as high status men rarely, if ever, censor themselves. They are unconcerned about what others think of them because they understand that no one else can define them. You are authentic when you do not hesitate to say or do what you believe to be correct. This also applies to establishing boundaries and not being afraid to enforce them when someone crosses them. When something bothers you, you should express it. When someone is disrespecting you, you must take action. When a girl pushes your buttons, you better know how to handle it. Nothing is more embarrassing than talking but having nothing to show for it. Passion. Having a hobby that you enjoy is always a plus. Why do you think women like guys who enjoy playing the guitar and making music? When you have a strong sense of purpose and can express it in some way, you will naturally attract others into your world. Passion is contagious and inspires those around you. When you're going through a rough patch, your passion can help you get back on track. It's a miserable way to live if you don't have any kind of passion in life. People who lack passion are unhappy. They appear to be unhappy. They appear to be depressed. They make everyone around them unhappy. Do I have to go on? Find a passion, and you will attract women who will appreciate what you do. Independence. In the traditional sense, independence means being self-sufficient and not relying on others. If you are self-sufficient, you are also capable of caring for yourself. Furthermore, being independent implies that you do not seek approval from women on how to behave. You make your own decisions and do not require others to tell you what to do. When necessary, an independent person should be able to take the lead. This is where many men go horribly wrong. They either give up their independence by allowing the woman to make all the decisions, thinking they are being considerate, or they look to her for approval for their choices. Neither of these two options is good because it forces women into male gender roles, which they do not want to be in. Be self-sufficient and, if necessary, take the initiative. Give a woman options rather than choices, because if she doesn't like them, she'll let you know. Purpose. A man must have a goal in life. If you don't have a goal, you'll just drift around aimlessly and never achieve greatness. Don't be a fluttering leaf in the wind. Do something meaningful to you. Women do not want a man who is aimless. But, whatever you do, never make a woman your purpose. Many men fall into this trap because they do just that, and she will resent them. She doesn't want to be admired and pleased by another guy who treats her like a queen. She needs to know that you have a plan and that you will stick to it. A man on his way is appealing. A man who cannot be deviated from his path is unstoppable. As you can see, there are numerous factors that contribute to a man's attractiveness to women. The important thing to remember here is that if you're not having success with women, you have no reason to stay the way you are. Instead of hiding behind excuses, start working on yourself. Make yourself a better man, and you will become more appealing. The top 10 mistakes men make when it comes to women and how to avoid them. Mistake number 1, displaying excessive sexual interest, the creepy guy. Many men make the mistake of expressing sexual interest in a woman right away. You're pretty, you've got a great rack, or even let's have sex, a guy will say. I've even heard a guy use this to approach a girl, I haven't had sex in a long time. Could you please do me a favor and have sex with me? Surprisingly, she declined. Ha! First, instill desire in a woman. In other words, first and foremost, attract a girl. You'll creep her out if you get too sexual with her too soon. So, how do you entice her? Make her laugh with witty repartees and negs. Allow her to see your best qualities by using DHVs, demonstrations of higher value. By qualifying her, you can learn more about her. Connect with her by spending time, 4 to 10 hours, on average 7 hours, getting to know her. Do everything in that order. What do you think? She'll beg for more. Mistake number 2, being overly polite, the nice guy. Another blunder that men make is being too nice. That is, not posing a sexual threat in any way. Allow me to give you 3 examples. Example number 1, interrogating her with a slew of questions. Why are we doing this? Probably because we believe it will demonstrate that we aren't after her ass, and we want to get to know her as a person first. That is admirable, but there is one issue. If she isn't attracted first, she won't be attracted later. So, don't start a conversation with a girl by asking her, "So, where are you from? Do you come here frequently? What do you do for a living?" These are factual questions that almost every man asks. Do this if all you want to do is blend in. If you don't want to, tell her something interesting about yourself before asking her a question. Share your life's passion, for example. She'll feel more at ease sharing herself later because it's a DHV. Example number 2, purchasing items for her such as drinks, dinner, flowers, or gifts. Why are we doing this? Perhaps we believe that if we treat her well, she will treat us well. Doesn't that make sense? There is one issue. It simply does not arouse interest. Worse, it prepares us to be taken advantage of later. It's not enjoyable. After all, how is this any different from paying for sex? You buy her dinner in the hopes of getting laid, right? When it comes to buying her things, the rule is to wait until after you've had sex before spending money on her. In other words, first and foremost, attract her. Second, make her feel at ease. Third, seduce her. It's safe to take her out to dinner after you've had sex. Example number 3, showering chicks with compliments, declaring his love for her far too soon, and generally kissing her behind. Why are we doing this? Again, I'm guessing it's because we believe that if we're nice to a girl, she'll be nice to us in return. You've probably noticed a pattern by now. Guys who are nice to women frequently expect something in return. In other words, there's a hidden agenda. It's a subtle form of duplicity. Women can detect this. That's most likely why it doesn't appeal to them. That, and the fact that it's submissive behavior. Don't get me wrong, it's wonderful to give. All I'm saying is, give from a place of such abundance that you don't need anything in return. That's fantastic, you might say. But, once again, how do I first attract women? Make yourself a sexual threat. Wow. But didn't you just say that you shouldn't show too much sexual interest at first? I did, indeed. And you're correct. That's why banter and negs are so appealing. Women are amused by these hidden weapons. And you know how much women despise laughing? Shia. Donkeys fly out of my buttocks. Fine. How do you negativate in banter? Consider it this way. As in play fighting. Alternatively, dominance through play. And having a positive attitude. In other words, abandon the literal, factual world in favor of the world of imagination. Act as a different character. Your dating host David D'Angelo taught me something new about humor. In Comedy Writing Secrets, he quoted Helitzer as saying that humor comes more from the character you play than the actual words you say. So, who am I supposed to be? A domineering man who has so many women in his life that he is the one who chooses them. He is not hoping that women will choose him. He's aware that he's the man. It's the polar opposite of how most other guys act. Most other guys regard themselves as the selectee who must impress a woman in order to attract her. No way, no how. The men who attract women are the polar opposite of that. He makes the decision. The prize is him. She needs to impress him. He's got so many women, he'll have to push her away. Again, all of this is done in the name of fun. This is not done accurately. In other words, take it all the way to the absurd. Exaggerate the situation. The exaggeration is what makes it amusing and makes chicks laugh. Here is the end result. Instead of treating a woman as if she were on a pedestal, you treat her as if you were two kids playing in a sandbox. Nice. It will be extremely unusual for her. Finally, a guy who sees beyond my mask. She'll exclaim. It'll make her feel better. And you'll stand out among the crowd of men. What's even more beautiful is that it causes sexual tension. Sexual arousal. Straight up. You're the one who chooses, right? That means you've already assumed a sexual/romantic context. And you're pushing her away, don't you? That means you've created a sense of tension. Sexual arousal. Isn't it lovely? So, here's the main point. First, establish your dominance and playful side. This attracts attractive women. Once you've gotten her attention, show her all the love you can muster. I'll say it once more. First and foremost, you must be dominant and capable of putting your foot down. Second, be considerate. That will obliterate all of your Mr. Nice Guy gaffes. However, once you've piqued her interest with banter and laughter, anchor it with substance. This is where DHV and comfort come into play. The third mistake men make is ignoring their comfort. Mistake number 3, the player does not build comfort. The players are the guys who attract a woman first, but then forgoes comfort and goes straight for sex. There are 3 significant drawbacks to this. A. Buyer's remorse. If you force a woman into sex, she may come to regret it later. So, don't make out with her in a bar. When you kiss her for the first time, push her away and say, "We shouldn't do this here." This gives her a sense of security and makes her want more. Wait until you can arouse her in private. B. She feels duped. When a woman expresses an interest in you, don't go around professing your undying love. First, qualify her. Is there more to you than meets the eye? Inquire. Choose her for what's on the inside, not what's on the outside. Learn about her and let her learn about you. When you have sex, it's not because you want something from her, it's because you like each other. After all, you're not looking for just any girl. You want a quality girl, don't you? C. Her bodyguard appears. You'll make her feel more at ease with you if you spend 4 to 10 hours, 7 hours on average, with her without attempting to have sex with her. So take her to various locations, get to know her as a person, laugh together, and touch comfortably. She'll be more likely to pounce on you if you don't pounce. Oh, yes. Mistake number 4, avoiding physical contact, also known as the friend zone. On the other hand, if a man spends too much time in comfort, he may find himself trapped in the dreaded friend zone. Yowzers. What causes this to happen? When a guy does not touch or physically escalate a girl. Why would a guy not want to touch a girl? He doesn't want to offend her, just like the nice guy. Exactly. That is the issue. How do I touch her without offending her? By always touching her. In a friendly way. From the beginning. Let me give you a couple of examples. When you first meet her and her friends, make sure to touch everyone. High fives, hugs, handshakes, and arm taps are all common greetings. It's pleasant. Touch her leg with yours when you're building comfort with her in isolation. Take her hand in yours. Brush a hair away from her face before kissing her. Alternatively, tell her how wonderful she smells and then smell her. Green light if she doesn't flinch. Give her a kiss. But don't forget to break the kiss first. It piques her interest. The point is to make contact. Touching ensures that you will not be placed in the friend zone later. Mistake number 5, failing to create sexual tension. Many men believe that just being themselves will attract a woman. If I ramble on aimlessly and pray, maybe she'll like me magically. No way. You are not required to blab and pray. You can purposefully attract her. How? By instilling sexual tension. How do I instill sexual tension? We've already discussed banter. That's one approach. Another one is here. When you've got her in bed, go for one of her erogenous zones, but make a last-second detour. Examples. Going in for a kiss, but not kissing her. I smelled her but didn't touch her. Kissing her around the nipples but not the actual nipple. Her vaginal lips are licked, but not her clit. Putting the tip of your cock in but not all the way in. Tension is created by the retreat. Tension is the feeling of not knowing what will happen next. It keeps her on the verge of a nervous breakdown. This keeps her guessing. Knowing how it all ends is the definition of resolution. Tension awakens her mind, but resolution does not. And let me tell you something. Her panties will follow you if you arouse her mind. In a nutshell, pull a girl toward you before pushing her away. Push her away, then pull her in your direction. The further you push a girl away, the more she wants to come in. Warning, balance your interest and disinterest. Too much pushing away pushes her away completely. Too much enticing her makes her want to flee. Flinching, telling her to stop hitting on you, that you'd never get along, and saying we're broken up are all examples of pushing her away. Examples of attracting her attention include smiling, complimenting her, and making her laugh by making things absurd. For example, we're so broken up. You keep the cat, I'll keep the DVDs. So, add some sugar and some spice. And they must be balanced. Isn't blabbering without direction preferable? You'll definitely attract a lovely woman this way. Mistake number 6, excessive effort. Let me give you some examples of men who are overly concerned with women. I know because I've been there. Make a million inquiries. Silences are not permitted. Spend a lot of money to show off and brag. Exaggerate your achievements. Entertain her, try to make her laugh all the time. Protest love early by focusing all of your energy on a single girl. As Mystery once put it, the best pickup artists don't just hunt, they also farm. If a guy only pursues one girl, he gets nothing. But if he goes after 10 girls, he gets 7 great pivots and 3 lays, the best of the bunch, of course. How can a girl chase us if we stand in front of her and don't move? So, speak with a lot of women. Don't get hung up on one. This way, you won't have to work as hard with one. You'll recline and wait for her to come to you. After all, you are the prize. So let her pursue you. Jealousy plots can be an effective way to entice the most beautiful women to pursue you. Mistake number 7, failing to prepare. A lot of guys approach women without being well prepared. For example, they have no topics of conversation with which to open chicks. They're at a loss for where to take a girl next. They don't have any condoms or gum with them. Their cars and apartments are in disarray. So, here's what you should do. Make a cheat sheet with banter/negs, keynote, ways to touch her, similar to stage directions, DHVs and qualifiers, statement of interests, and closers. This is how you'll conjure up interesting conversations with strangers out of thin air. You'll need enough material to keep a woman interested for 25 to 40 minutes, though you'll need to fill 7 hours in total. Only the first few minutes of that time should be A2 material, banter and DHVs. Note, A2 refers to the attraction phase's second stage. A1 means open, A2 means you attract her, and A3 means she attracts you. Qualify the girl you're interested in after you've delivered your A2 material. Qualification is the A3 material. If you over-attract without enticing her to work to attract you, you'll stale out a set. Also, before you approach, get into the right frame of mind. What is the proper mental state? A jovial, upbeat, and talkative one. Here's another way to get ready. You should be aware of where to bounce girls. That is, plan out where you will take a girl next before inviting her back to your home. Do you want to know how to invite a girl back to your house? It's because of the bounce. That is, take her to other places before inviting her to dinner. After going to so many places together, as if you were a couple, your place will just be one more. It'll come naturally. Okay, here are some ideas for getting ready. Grooming, showering, smelling good, and having your threads together are all required.
Have condoms, a way to record girls' phone numbers, i.e., your phone, and gum on hand.
You can have the best game in the world, but if your breath stinks, it's game over. And here's a great way to get into the right frame of mind. Before you go out into the field, practice your cheat sheet in front of a mirror. This technique has helped me gain a lot of self-awareness. Because I've practiced ahead of time, I can forget about everything and just be in the moment when I'm on the field. Isn't it amusing? Being prepared allows for flow and spontaneity. Mistake number 8, being overly logical and fact-based. Many men believe that showing off their intelligence and knowledge attracts women. Oh, yes, I've been here as well. Being a smarty pants doesn't attract chicks, as I discovered the hard way. Why? Talking about God's nature, the Middle East crisis, or even baseball statistics appeals to her logical mind rather than her emotions. Giving her wonderful feelings, on the other hand, attracts a woman like Ka-Razai. So, remember to smile. Discuss amusing and emotional topics. Don't use a monotone, factual tone of voice. Show your personality. This demonstrates warmth and feeling. Mystery, by the way, always says, enthusiasm is contagious. But what in the name of God does he mean by this? I looked it up, and it literally means to be possessed, and, by God, theos. It denotes excitement and enjoyment of something. It's like being in the presence of a god when you're this excited. It's no surprise that it's contagious. So, discuss light-related topics. You're up. Passion and enthusiasm are true aphrodisiacs for women. She'll be so enthralled by your enthusiasm that she'll want more and more and more. The point is to avoid being a jerk. Instead, give a woman the gift of feeling good. She'll associate those wonderful feelings with you. Mistake number N. Some men try to talk themselves down. Why? They probably believe it demonstrates humility or honesty or something. The truth is that when we present ourselves in a low-value manner, she loses interest in us. So, how do you talk positively about yourself without sounding arrogant and boastful? By not making the positive thing the center of attention. By positioning it in the background. There is, for example, a distinction between saying I helped out at a soup kitchen. Aren't I fantastic? I was volunteering at a soup kitchen when this strange thing happened. One is in the spotlight. The other is in the background, where it is easily overlooked. Don't put the positive thing in the spotlight. Mention it as a side note. My main point is to not belittle yourself. Speak highly of yourself. As if you're promoting yourself. Or, as if you're discussing a movie you'd like a friend to see. Would you go over all of the flaws in the film? No. It's possible that your friend won't want to see it. You'd emphasize the positive. The same is true when talking about yourself to women. Throw out information about yourself that women find sexually appealing in men. According to Mystery, there are 5 categories of things that women find attractive. Other females admire you. As an example, consider mentioning an ex-girlfriend. And saying nice things about her. You have friends who respect you and who respect you in return. Social evidence. You care for others and can protect loved ones such as family, friends, and ex-girlfriends. You have a life passion, a goal, and you are willing to take risks to achieve it. Be expressive, passionate, and enthusiastic when speaking. Now, portraying yourself in a positive light begins with how you think about yourself. If you're constantly focusing on your flaws and insecurities, you'll lose a lot of confidence. You'll feel less confident, and you might end up criticizing yourself. That's not cool. However, if you constantly focus on your strengths and accomplishments, you will feed your confidence, you'll feel more confident, and you'll most likely end up speaking well of yourself. That's awesome. To put it another way, respect yourself first, and women will follow. How do you find positive things to dwell on in yourself? Do good for the sake of good. That way, you'll have accomplishments to brag about and stories to tell. Last word on this mistake. Only when people are aware of your strengths will you find self-deprecating humor appealing. If no one knows your strengths and you jokingly diminish them, it makes people uncomfortable. So, do things that women find appealing, believe in yourself, and speak well of yourself. Will that turn out to be a positive self-fulfilling prophecy? You'll demonstrate, nay, be your best self. Mistake number 10, worrying about what she thinks of you. Finally, there's the guy who is concerned about what women think of him. And, yes, I've been here before. I'm the one who's made all of these blunders. Anyway, this fear makes us men slaves to the approval of women. It's awful because it limits our freedom and strength. And now I'd like to ask you a question. Who becomes submissive and who becomes dominant when you crave a woman's approval? Exactly. And submissive men are unattractive to women. Dominant males do. Replace your fear of not being able to persuade her to like you with this thought. What does it matter what she thinks of me? In fact, who cares what anyone thinks of me? One thing all great pickup artists have in common is social freedom. Fear of what others think of you is referred to as social anxiety. Being socially free means not caring what others think of you. Walking through the world without fear of losing other people's approval attracts women like it demonstrates power. It's also manly. Here's another way to look at this blunder. The outside world is constantly changing. So, if you put your happiness there, what happens when the external world changes? Exactly. You trip and fall. The inner world is more substantial. What will happen if you put your foot here? Exactly. When the outside world shifts, you stay put. You maintain your strength in the face of the shifting and crap that the outside world throws at you. Seek happiness from within. That is to say, be proud of yourself. Don't let others decide whether or not you're good enough. Their approval is nothing more than a chintzy gold star. I also mean to serve a higher purpose other than one's own. Give the world your most heartfelt gift. Do it with all your heart. Women are like the sun, they are beautiful and inspiring. Have fun with it. She deserves your respect. Thank you very much. But there's no need to possess, acquire, or cling to her. Be the sun, not a subordinate planet. Give your gift, your light. Live your life with intention. You will attract women who are beautiful on the inside and out as a byproduct, not as the goal. And she'll keep returning for more. Top 10 mistakes men make when it comes to women. Finding a mate is one of the most basic aspects of life, but it is also a problem that many people face. Here are the top 10 mistakes men make when it comes to women. Mistake number 1, pursuing women. Most guys will try anything to get women, such as subtly following a cute girl, walking across the bar to talk to a hot girl, trying to be funny and interesting enough to keep a girl's attention, attempting to get a girl's phone number, or simply wishing to be with the girl next to them. The issue with all of these approaches is that these men are looking for women. Pursuing women mentally is just as bad as physically pursuing them. Women, no matter how you look at it, are the ones who decide who they let in. They seek a man who follows his own path in life, who is grounded in his own reality, and who is not thrown off kilter by her. When you pursue a woman, you are reacting to her and not being yourself, which is not attractive. Stop attempting to attract women and instead allow them to become a part of your life. Mistake number 2 is putting women on a pedestal. Most men will look at a beautiful woman and wish they were worthy enough to be with her. You are putting girls on a pedestal if you say things like this. When you do this, you are not being yourself, which is unattractive. Some men will even make amusing negative comments in order to bring women down to their level. This may compensate for putting women on a pedestal, but it does not address the underlying issue. From a social standpoint, unless you are a millionaire or a Hollywood star, there is no way you can compare to her looks and status. However, everything is not perfect beneath her skin, and she is far too often hiding a variety of issues and insecurities behind her mask. If you relate to her as a human being, you can offer her your authenticity, ease of living, and carefree nature. In fact, by not being thrown off by her presence, you can be at her level before you even say a word. If you feel and act the same way before, during, and after meeting her, you are relating to her on an equal level, which is very appealing. You will succeed if you can do this. You will stand out because it is difficult for her to find a guy who is not reactive to her. Mistake number 3 is viewing women as sexual objects. With all of the sexy skin we see in the media, we've been trained like dogs to think of women as nothing more than sex objects. Women have also been socialized to conform to that image. When a woman walks around flaunting her physical assets and wearing a lot of makeup, she has succumbed to the media's portrayal of women and sees herself as a sex object. When she sees herself in that light, it's difficult for men not to see her in that light as well. Most men simply want to have their way with this type of girl and won't give her a second thought, let alone want to see her again. The problem is that all of this leads to sexual fantasies about women, which leads to an even greater gap between men and women. All of this is social conditioning. It is not natural and does not result in sex. Viewing women as purely sexual objects makes it difficult to connect with them because you have an agenda and a stake in the outcome. You are then attempting to obtain something from her, which is not appealing to her. Sex is an unintended consequence of connecting with women. You connect with women by displaying your authenticity, integrity, and carefree nature, as well as by creating a safe space in which she is free to like or dislike you. When you are truly connected to a woman and feel as if the two of you are the only ones in the world, a sexual relationship will develop naturally and without your intervention. Mistake number 4, insisting on interaction. Most men fail with women because they try too hard to attract them. Even a smidgen, it's like saying your girlfriend is only slightly pregnant. You're either pursuing her, trying to get her, and pushing the interaction, or you're not. When you force a conversation, whether verbally or physically, women detect neediness and are turned off. When you are grounded in your reality and communicate with women without expectations or attachments, you create space for a connection to form without having to push anything. If you try it and it fails, it's usually because you still have subconscious attachments to the outcome. Mistake number 5, making use of pickup techniques. Many men learn and employ pickup techniques to compensate for a lack of success. The main issue with these techniques is that they only work occasionally, which causes men to try even harder to get lucky again. Using tricks to get around your unattractiveness doesn't really solve the problem. Even if you are fortunate, it rarely leads to a genuine connection or a long-term relationship because you present a facade that is not truly you. It will only be a matter of time before she realizes who you are and decides whether or not she likes you. What actually happens is that if you interact with a woman and act naturally, as if you aren't bothered by her, she will decide that she likes you. If you play games, she will most likely see through it and will either reject you, play games with you and make you jump through hoops, or, in rare cases, decide she still likes you and will go along with you. If you can distinguish what helps you from what hinders your success, you can maintain your confidence and openness while letting go of everything that stems from a scarcity mindset, such as pickup techniques. Even if you get lucky with these techniques every now and then, it is a lot of work, and you can't spend your entire life pursuing things. Mistake number 6, putting too much emphasis on outward appearances and independent women. Many men believe that women with perfect skin and toned, voluptuous bodies are the best women to pursue for a sexual relationship because that is what we see in magazines all the time. Many men believe that independent career women are the best mates for long-term relationships. If this is the case for you, it forces you to live with the fantasy of sex rather than actually experimenting with it. The media has also conditioned women to conform to these images. That messes everything up, causing everything from breast cancer to a divorce rate of more than 50% to the presence of more singles than ever before in history. The truth is that women who obsess over their appearance do so to compensate for a lack of self-esteem, and they are disconnected from their authenticity and spontaneity. As a result, it is difficult to form an emotional connection with them, and sex with them is typically average and mechanical. Men usually dump these women the next day after engaging in intimate relations with them, further lowering their self-esteem. Independent career women's sexuality is restricted because they are too logical and masculine. Relationships with them are frequently power struggles that end in divorce. You need polarity for physical intimacy to be satisfying and relationships to be healthy, a very feminine and confident woman who helps you develop as a man. To feel one with a woman, you want her to have authenticity, integrity, a carefree nature, lightness, and spontaneity. Simply shifting your focus on what you value can make a significant difference in what you attract into your life, fantasy or reality. Mistake number 7, trying to impersonate someone else. When you see a man who is very successful with women, you may be tempted to try to imitate him. He is successful, however, not because of what he does, but because of who he is and how he lives his life. Because you and he have different strengths, weaknesses, and life experiences, your styles will differ. You can't be yourself while also pretending to be someone else. When you act like someone else, you repress a part of yourself, and something doesn't feel right. You also don't want to be your weak self who fails. Deep within you is a powerful and successful self, but it is hidden behind fears, excuses, and social conditioning. That's the self you want to connect with. Charisma with women is not a skill that can be learned, rather, it is a natural ability that can be discovered by unlearning what conceals it. Viewing sexually explicit videos, magazines, or other material is mistake number 8. Another thing that far too many men do instead of having sex is watch porn. Porn teaches you to think of sex as a fantasy rather than a reality. It also teaches you to see women as sexual objects and sex as a Big Bang act. Sex is a byproduct of connecting with a woman, and it is a mind-body-soul experience in which you can have full-body orgasms that can last for more than 30 seconds. The sex depicted in pornographic films pales in comparison to what sex can be. Porn exposes you to the wrong kinds of women and the wrong kind of so-called physical intimacy, rather than valuing their authentic feminine nature. When you're not having sex, it's much better to conserve your sexual energy and put it to use in other areas of your life. Stop watching porn. It's the best thing you can do to bring sex closer to your reality. Mistake number 9, being depressed about failures. Another common blunder is feeling bad when you don't attract women, are single, or are rejected by women. You feel bad because you are emotionally invested in the outcome as a result of your neediness. That neediness is unappealing and does nothing to help you. To succeed, you must let go of your neediness. When you walk around the world and don't give a damn about how women react, you exude a completely different and appealing vibe. Do you beat yourself up for failing when you return home alone from a bar, or do you smile because you had such a good time? Feeling grateful for what you have and optimistic about what you don't yet have will alter your reality. Mistake number 10 is to say, "This girl is special." Women expect you to be the same before, during, and after you meet them. When you meet a very attractive and nice woman, you may think to yourself, "This girl is special," and begin acting differently around her without realizing it. You then pay too much attention to her and change your plans too frequently for her. You become receptive to her as the stimulus, which is not what she desires. She prefers a man who stays the same around her and does not become overly emotionally attached. Even when I could sleep with several women per week, I met a few special girls, and while I slept with them, things didn't work out with any of them after that. You're a rare find, don't start acting strangely around the best women. 5 deadly mistakes in attracting beautiful women. You dress well, have a steady job, and are generally regarded as a nice guy by your peers. So, how come you never seem to attract attractive women? What are you doing incorrectly? Check out the list below to see if you're making any of the 5 fatal mistakes that prevent many men from reaching their full potential with women. I'm sure you're doing at least one of these things in an attempt to win her over. 1. Trying to impress. When you constantly buy expensive things for a woman and take her out to dinner at high-end restaurants to impress her, even if you can't afford it, you're actually sending the message that you're not confident in your ability to attract her without these embellishments. And, as we all know, women place a high value on confidence, so this is a major turnoff. It may seem counterintuitive, But one of the most important aspects of attraction is making the woman work for treats or tokens of your affection that she is probably accustomed to receiving from other men. The more beautiful the woman, the more this rule applies. So, rather than showering her with gifts, keep her guessing and surprise her with something completely unexpected that will astound her with both your spontaneity and uniqueness. When looking for a man, there are two major attraction qualities in the eyes of any desirable woman. This does not have to be expensive, but it must be unique. If you're looking for a long-term relationship, romantic works well, but if you just want to keep things casual but have her begging to see you again, original works best. Think outside the box to keep the girl guessing what's going to happen next. The reason for this is that the more unique the experience you provide her, the more you will be able to distinguish yourself from all of the other men she has known. 2. Bragging. This is just as bad, if not worse, than attempting to impress a woman. I understand that it seems like a good idea at the time, especially after a few drinks. However, believe me when I say that bragging is the one surefire way to ruin your dating game before it even starts. The more you boast about something, the more a woman will wonder if you're telling the truth. You don't attract beautiful women by telling them how attractive you are, you attract them by demonstrating that you are confident and happy with who you are, whether or not they are attracted to you. The other problem with bragging is that it creates more competition between you and other single men in the area who may be attracted to your target. The other issue with bragging in front of other men is that they will feel compelled to compete with you. Either with one-upmanship or macho posturing, in an attempt to lower your social status and raise their own. All of the above points can be avoided entirely by subtly implying about your success or accomplishments. The added benefit of playing the game in this manner is that you will be creating a greater and increasing sense of mystery, and thus attraction, between yourself and your woman of interest. 3. Moving too quickly. It's true that women want sex just as much as men do, but that doesn't mean you have to close the deal with her right away. In fact, even if you do want to close the deal as soon as possible, which, let's face it, you do, you will only be able to do so if you reach a point in your interactions with her where your woman desires you on a level comparable to or higher than you desire her. The moment you advertise your sexual attraction to her in a blunt and direct manner, making it completely clear that you like her, any mystery about you vanishes, frequently along with her attraction to you. Take note that women approach sex in a very different way than men. They frequently find the direct approach to be crude and offensive. If you want to attract beautiful women, you must provide her with a sense of mystery and romance. Begin with a little teasing during your first few interactions and gradually work your way up to the real thing. Of course, mastering this critical aspect of the attraction and seduction process cannot be easily explained in a 2,000-word article. After all, the entire site is based on these two very specific techniques. But keep in mind that women want a man who is just out of reach, independent, and mysterious. They are unresponsive to direct approaches. To keep things simple, when interacting with an attractive woman you desire, you should always keep playing it cool. 4. Being overly nice. If you are genuinely nice, I'm sure you will consider this aspect of your personality to be one of your strongest assets. In fact, if you're approachable and a good listener, I'm sure women have told you on numerous occasions that you're a nice guy with a lot of female friends. The problem is that once you're in the friend zone, it's extremely difficult to change the woman's perception of you from a friend to Mr. I want to make hot passionate love with you right now. Here's the thing, just as women don't want their men to move too quickly, they also don't want their men to be too nice. This trap is very easy to fall into, especially at the start of a new relationship. It's obviously a good idea to promote pleasant aspects of your personality when we first meet a woman. To cultivate attraction, however, a careful balance must be struck between being a nice guy and an independent, free-thinking male who is completely clear about what he will or will not tolerate. This shows a woman that you are a strong man who can make your own decisions, and she will respect you for it. Constantly try to impress her by acting the way you believe she wants you to act, and watch how quickly your once hot relationship devolved into just friends. Yes, it is natural to put your best foot forward, but please, to all the men out there who are modifying their personality to give the woman what they believe she wants, please realize you are actually sabotaging the good progress you may have already made. There are two reasons for this. To begin with, nice guys tend to do everything a woman desires. The problem with this is that after a while, it becomes quite boring. A woman is more likely to appreciate a man who occasionally refuses to do what she wants because she will see him as being true to himself when he refuses to do something he isn't comfortable doing. This air of defiance may irritate the woman at the time, but she will come to respect the man more as a result. Surprisingly, women will be more attracted to a man if he demonstrates to them that he is not a puppet whose strings they can pull and tug whenever the mood strikes them. 5. Being too available. Being too available. Like being too nice, is a major turnoff for women. You will appear more like a puppy than a man if you answer the phone on the first ring every time she calls or arrive at her door within an hour every time she says she needs to see you. This sends the message that you don't have much of a social life outside of her, which lowers your value in her eyes. As with many of the other points mentioned, the key to successful interactions is to keep your cool and maintain an air of mystery, by only answering her calls occasionally, or giving her your undivided attention and focus, but cutting a phone call with her short. You will only serve to increase her attraction to you as you increase your social status. Remember that women will express their rage and frustration at some of these actions, but on a subconscious, or conscious, level, they will desire you even more if you appear to be just out of reach. Taking it a step further, so-called bad boys, who are frequently unreliable, unresponsive, or unpredictable in their moods and patterns of behavior, are extremely frustrating, but undeniably appealing to women. But, hey, that's a different lesson. You've probably figured out which of the 5 mistakes discussed above you're guilty of by now. If you truly want to attract beautiful women, the next step is to work on avoiding these blunders. 7 attractive qualities of a woman that men appreciate. Women aren't referred to as the beautiful sex for nothing. We men like women a lot more than you do. Having said that, it is self-evident that there are some aspects of women that we find even more appealing. Because men are simple creatures, certain things appeal to all of us, just as certain aspects of men appeal to you. For example, no woman on the planet would deny that chivalry is attractive. So, if you want to have an advantage over other ladies, read this article carefully. These are simple ideas that are simple to implement in your daily life. Knowing what a man finds attractive in a woman will help you attract any man you want. Just be careful not to let the newfound attention get to your head. You see, men are very visual and simple creatures. For us, attraction and infatuation happen quickly, and we don't need to know much about you to be attracted. Essentially, it all comes down to your first impression. It's also true that over time, this will change and our appreciation for you will grow much deeper, but for now, here are some of the things that have caught our attention. 1. A cheerful lady. Nothing turns a man off more than a depressed and hostile demeanor. If you want to attract more attention, make an effort to appear cheerful, as a flirty giggle and a cheerful attitude can quickly melt any man's heart. I agree that having such an attitude isn't always easy, but if you can think about the brighter side of life all the time, it will come naturally. Isn't it the same for you? Would you date a guy who despises his life and is genuinely unhappy? Probably not, so keep this in mind the next time you go out. 2. A well-dressed and attractive woman. Yes, we men are attracted by appearances. You knew it, I said it, and it's true. But don't worry, this does not imply that you must undergo plastic surgery. Dressing well and looking good are things you can change right away. I'm not going to give any fashion advice because I'm probably not the best person to do so, but caring about what you wear and how you apply makeup can be detrimental when it comes to attracting men. Simply focus on looking good and feeling good about yourself. If you are confident in your appearance, the people around you will be as well. You don't have to wear flashy colors or anything like that. Simply be confident, wear well-fitting clothes, and use a little perfume, and you'll be attracting some males in no time. 3. A woman who is flirtatious. Nothing beats a woman who can flirt back. We all know that flirting is necessary in order to attract a woman. Unfortunately, they don't always flirt back, but when they do, it's incredible. Flirting back puts you in a very strong womanly position. You are not only gaining control, but you are also acting like a woman. A womanly woman is irresistible to any man on the planet. What exactly do you need to do? Simple things like curling your lips or slightly biting them, raising your brows when you make a clever remark, giggling at our jokes, and showing genuine interest in what we say are all examples. If you haven't mastered this subtle art yet, try looking at yourself in the mirror and practicing there. It may appear awkward at first, but it will help you quickly get the hang of things. 4. Display some skin. This isn't a how-to guide on how to be slutty, but that extra skin turns our heads in an instant. Too much skin is a cry for attention, and men are aware of it. However, if you play it subtle, it will work much better. A shirt or tee that ends right where your jeans begin, or a perfectly fitting top with a wider neck that shows a little but still requires a bit of craning to get a peep, is the ideal combination. We adore those almost there glimpses, and it drives us insane. 5. A seductive tone of voice. Again, this isn't about changing your voice, but rather about how you use it. A woman's voice is one of those little things in life that makes the hair on a man's back stand on end. Mastering the art of the seductive voice takes time, so don't put too much emphasis on it. Men are turned off by high-pitched glass-shattering squeals, which most women use when they are surprised or overjoyed. A low, soft voice is obviously more appealing. Fortunately for you, speaking in a low, softer tone without sounding forced isn't that difficult. Use your newfound skill on the phone, but don't blame me if the guy on the other end of the line starts flirting with you. 6. A damsel in distress. Perhaps the term damsel in distress is too strong for this, but you get the idea, a woman in distress. Helping a woman in need may be a man's dream, as it gives them the perfect opportunity to be a man in front of you. Men enjoy feeling wanted and appreciated by women. You might think that men despise running errands and such, but we only despise it when we're in a long-term relationship. We are initially at your disposal, so use us however you see fit. So, if you know a single guy, approach him with a smile and ask him to assist you with something. Chances are, he'll jump to your aid right away. We appreciate women who seek our assistance because it makes us feel more manly and allows us to converse with you. And if you thank us with a flirtatious smile, you can bet we'll do anything to get your number. 7. A woman who responds to a man's stare. This is the first and most important step in seduction. You must be capable of recognizing our stares. Sure, some guys have a lot of guts and approach you right away, but most guys don't, and you need to give them at least the smallest reason to react. Many men will try to captivate your attention by giving you a manly stare. React to this by returning their gaze. You don't even have to smile, although if you do, you give them even more reasons to approach you, but simply acknowledging their gaze is sufficient. You don't have to do this with every guy who looks at you, but if he appears decent enough, go ahead and do it. You don't have to marry him or have his children, but it will give you the opportunity to meet a guy, and you can decide later if he's your type or not. If no guy comes to you on any given night, how will you ever find a guy this way? This simple acknowledgement of a stare is the most important thing you can do to get a guy to notice you and approach you. Finally, now that you have this knowledge, make sure you put it to good use. There are many women out there who scream for attention. Don't be that woman because we men despise her. Attract us, but demonstrate your uniqueness when we approach you. This is how long-term relationships are formed.